Hello and welcome to Justice Insight Cam. Experience unscripted police encounters exactly as they unfold on body cameras. We go further than the raw video to uncover the legal facts and educational moments of each incident. Let's analyze justice in action.
Stop. This court is freezing the accounts, effective immediately. If the money isn't restored, contempt is on the table, jail included.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Stop. Right there. The judge's voice doesn't rise. It doesn't need to. In a courtroom that smells like paper, disinfectant, and old coffee, silence is its own pressure. A ceiling fan hums softly above rows of wooden benches. A bailiff shifts his weight near the door, hand resting where a routine becomes a reflex. At counsel table, a man in a wrinkled button-down grips his phone like it's the only solid thing left in his world. His eyes are red, not from crying, from not sleeping. Across the aisle, his ex-spouse sits too still, shoulders squared, chin lifted, hands folded, with the calm of someone who has rehearsed her version of events. The judge looks down at a stack of printed bank pages, highlighted in yellow and pink like a crime scene map. Then she looks up. "Overnight," she says. "You know, you moved every dollar out of a joint account that was under court order to remain intact." A pause. "And now you're telling me it was for groceries." The woman's attorney stands as if he can stand between his client and the math. "Your Honor, my client was acting out of fear," he begins. The judge lifts a hand. "Counsel," she says. "Fear is not a legal defense to self-help theft in a pending dissolution." Her eyes drop to one line on the statement. A wire, a receiving account, a timestamp. Then she says the sentence that changes everything. "This court is issuing an emergency freeze order," she announces. "And I want to be crystal clear. If these funds are not restored, contempt will be on the table, including jail." The man at counsel table exhales like his ribs have been held together by tension alone. The woman doesn't flinch, but her heel taps once against the floor. A small sound, a crack in control. Because the truth about moving money is this: you can do it in minutes, but you can't outrun the record. To protect privacy, names, locations, and some details are reconstructed. This is a fictionalized composite inspired by common patterns in emergency family court motions involving dissipation of marital assets. 20 hours earlier, Alex Hartman was asleep when his phone vibrated on the nightstand. Not a call, an alert, a bright screen cutting through darkness. "Riverstone Bank, transfer approved." Alex blinked, confused, and swiped the notification away with the lazy irritation of someone who assumes it's a routine bill. Then another. "Transfer approved." Another. "Transfer approved." He sat up. The room was cold, in his sheets tangled around his legs, the digital clock reading 2:47 a.m. Alex reached for his phone with both hands now, thumb moving faster. He opened the app, signed in, and watched his balance refresh. $86,214.19. Then the number flickered. $19,004.19. Then again, $4,112.09. Then $0. Alex didn't breathe for a full second. There's a specific kind of panic that doesn't announce itself with a scream. It announces itself with quiet disbelief, like your brain is refusing to accept the image your eyes are seeing. He refreshed again. Still $0. He scrolled. Transfers, wires, cashier's checks, a new payee he didn't recognize. And the most brutal part, all of it authorized. Not by a hacker, not by fraud, by a joint account holder, by his ex, Danielle Hartman, 37, smart, polished, and, over the last year, furious in a way that never looked like rage until it did. Alex's throat tightened, because the joint account wasn't just money, it was the mortgage auto-pay, It was the child care payment. It was health insurance. It was his own payroll from his small consulting business. An S-corp with 2 employees depending on him for checks that didn't bounce. And now it was gone. If you've ever woken up to a number that shouldn't be possible, you know the next feeling. Urgency. Not the dramatic kind. The animal kind. Alex swung his legs out of bed, feet hitting hardwood, cold shooting up his calves. He called the bank, an automated menu. Press 1 for balances. He pressed 0. Press 1 for lost card. He pressed 0. When the system finally gave him an option to speak to someone, in the hold music started. Soft jazz. Cruel. Alex paced the dark living room, phone pressed to his ear, eyes locked on the app's transaction list. Wire, $45,000. Wire, $38,000. Cashier's check, $10,000. Cashier's check, $9,500. Zelle transfers. A debit withdrawal at an ATM. Then something that made his stomach drop further. A transfer to an account labeled J. Voss Consulting LLC. Alex didn't know anyone named Voss. He didn't know a consulting LLC. But he did know Danielle had a cousin who did business stuff. A cousin who always had opinions. A cousin who always said things like, protect yourself. Don't be naive, eh? At 3:14 a.m., a human finally answered. Riverstone Bank, this is Cynthia. How can I help you? Alex tried to keep his voice steady. My joint account has been emptied, he said. I'm looking at it right now. I need to stop it. I need to reverse it. Cynthia asked security questions. Alex answered too fast. Then she said the sentence that feels like a door locking. Sir, she said, I can see the transfers. They were initiated by an authorized user on the account. Alex squeezed the phone. It wasn't me, he said. It was my ex. We're in divorce. There's a court order. I understand, Cynthia replied, and you could hear she meant it in the way people mean things when they can't fix them. But because it's a joint account, either party can initiate transfers unless the bank has been served with a legal hold or court order restricting it. Alex's voice sharpened. So you're telling me she can take everything overnight and you can't do anything? Cynthia paused. I'm telling you, she said, that we can document your dispute and place a note. But to freeze or reverse, we need a court order. A court order. He already had one. Or he thought he did. Because when the divorce was filed, the paperwork included an automatic financial restraint. No transferring or hiding assets except for ordinary living expenses. It was printed in black letters. It was stamped. It felt like protection. But in the real world, protection is only as good as enforcement. Alex swallowed. Can you stop anything still pending? He asked. Cynthia clicked. There's one transfer scheduled for 6 a.m., she said. It's pending. I can escalate a hold request, but I can't guarantee. Do it, Alex said. Then he hung up and did the next thing your body does when your life feels like it's slipping. He called his lawyer. Saadi, Rachel Kim answered on the second ring. Not cheerful, alert, like she'd been expecting the kind of call that wakes you up forever. Rachel, Alex said, voice raw. She emptied the account. Everything. Tonight. A brief pause. Screenshot everything, Rachel said immediately. Every transaction, every timestamp. Don't just rely on the app. Download statements if you can. Then email me, right now. Alex blinked. It's 3 a.m, he said. And you're in an emergency, Rachel replied. We file an emergency ex parte motion at first light. We're going to ask for a freeze order and an order to show cause for contempt. Alex's stomach turned. Can the judge do that today? He asked. Yes, Rachel said. If the judge believes there's immediate, irreparable harm, and this is the definition of that. Alex swallowed. What if it's already gone? Rachel's voice didn't soften. Then we trace it, she said, and we make her explain. And if she thinks she can hide behind joint account, she's about to learn what dissipation means. By 4:30 a.m., Alex was sitting at his kitchen table under a single light, laptop open, hands shaking as he pulled PDFs from Riverstone's website. The house was silent, the kind of silence that makes you hear everything. The refrigerator motor, a pipe ticking, a distant car passing. He scrolled through the transaction report like it might suddenly say, "Mistake." It didn't. The report showed something worse. Danielle didn't just move money, she planned it. There were new payees created days earlier. There were micro-transfers, $1 tests to confirm accounts. There were scheduled wires set to execute at night, when bank fraud departments are thin and call centers are slower. There was intent in the pattern. Rachel met him on a video call at 6:15 a.m., hair pulled back, eyes sharp, a legal pad already covered in notes. "Tell me exactly what happened," she said. Alex walked her through it, the alerts, the zero, the call, the bank's refusal. Rachel nodded. "Okay," she said, "we're going to do 3 things today. 1. Emergency freeze order. 2. Expedited discovery, subpoenas to the bank for full wire details. 3. A show cause hearing. She needs to explain herself under oath." Alex swallowed. "And if she doesn't?" Rachel's eyes held. "Then the judge will tell her what contempt feels like," she said. "To understand why Danielle did it, you have to understand what the divorce had become." On paper, Alex and Danielle were amicably separated. In real life, they were 2 people living inside competing stories. They had been married for 11 years. They had an 8-year-old daughter named Sophie. They had a house with a mortgage that still had 9 years left. They had shared habits, Sunday pancakes, school pickups, a joint calendar, a savings account they always called the safety net. Then the marriage cracked, not with a single betrayal, with a slow accumulation of resentments. Alex worked too much. Danielle felt invisible. Danielle spent money like it was therapy. Alex tightened budgets like he was bracing for impact. They fought about tone, about trust, about the way silence in a marriage can feel like punishment. And when Danielle filed for divorce, she did it with a clean narrative. "Financial control," she said. "Emotional neglect. Instability." Alex heard those words and felt like he'd been turned into a villain in a story he didn't recognize. But he did what he believed responsible people do. He opened the books. He disclosed everything. He agreed to temporary support. He agreed to keep the joint account funded for household bills. And the court issued standard restraining language. Neither party could transfer or conceal assets outside normal living expenses. Danielle signed the acknowledgement, which is why what happened next wasn't confusion. It was a choice. At 9:02 a.m., Rachel filed an emergency motion, ex parte, meaning without notice, because if you warn someone who just emptied an account, you give them time to move the rest. She attached exhibits, screenshots, statements, a sworn declaration from Alex, a timeline with exact timestamps, and a request that made the clerk's eyes widen. Immediate freeze of all accounts held by Danielle Hartman. Immediate freeze of any accounts receiving transferred funds. An order compelling return. And an order to show cause why Danielle should not be held in contempt. By 11:30 a.m., they had a hearing slot. Emergency calendar. The kind of calendar where judges see what people do when they're cornered. Alex sat in the hallway outside courtroom 6, tie crooked, knuckles white around a folder. He could hear other cases being called. Child support, protective orders, custody exchanges, all of it threaded with the same desperation. At 11:47, Danielle arrived. Perfect hair, neutral expression, a designer tote bag. Her attorney, Paul Merrick, walked beside her, whispering. Danielle didn't look at Alex, not once. She walked past him like he was a stranger. Rachel leaned toward Alex and spoke softly. "That's intentional," she said. "She wants to look calm. Let her. The math is not calm." Alex's throat tightened. "Do you think she'll bring it back?" he asked. Rachel's eyes stayed forward. "No," she said. "Not voluntarily. That's why we're here." Inside the courtroom, Judge Celeste Navarro took the bench. Mid-50s, sharp eyes, a voice that could be gentle or dangerous depending on what you brought into her room. She listened to Rachel first. Rachel didn't dramatize. She didn't need to. She laid out facts. "Your Honor," she said, "at 2:47 a.m., my client received bank alerts. Within 30 minutes, in the joint household account, funded for court-ordered obligations, was depleted to zero. There were multiple wire transfers, cashier's checks, and third-party transfers. This is dissipation. We're asking for immediate injunctive relief." Judge Navarro looked at Danielle. "Ms. Hartman," she said, "did you move these funds?" Danielle's attorney stood quickly. "Your Honor, we object to—" Judge Navarro raised a hand. "I asked her," she said. Danielle's lips parted. "Yes," she said, "I did." Alex felt the room tilt, not because he didn't know, because hearing it admitted out loud changes something in your chest. Judge Navarro leaned back slightly. "Why?" she asked. Danielle's voice was smooth. "Because he was going to take it," she said. Alex's jaw clenched. Judge Navarro's eyes narrowed. "Based on what?" she asked, and Danielle lifted her chin. "Based on the way he's always controlled money," she said. "Based on threats." Rachel stood. "Your Honor," she said, "there were no threats, and even if there were allegations, the remedy is a motion to the court, not clearing joint accounts at 3 a.m. Danielle's attorney tried a different angle. "My client used the funds for living expenses," he said. "She's securing housing and stability for the child." Judge Navarro looked down at the bank statement. Her finger followed a line. "Then explain this," she said. She read the receiving account aloud. J. Voss Consulting LLC. Danielle's face stayed composed. "It's a family account," she said. "A family account," Judge Navarro repeated. Her voice sharpened. "Is your cousin named Jonah Voss?" Danielle hesitated. "Yes," she said. "And you wired marital funds to your cousin's LLC," the judge said, "overnight." Danielle's attorney stepped in. "Your Honor, it was temporary holding." Judge Navarro cut him off. "Counsel," she said, "temporary holding is not a concept recognized by this court when it's done secretly, at night, in violation of restraining language." She looked directly at Danielle. "Do you have the funds with you today?" she asked. Danielle's eyes flicked to her attorney. "No," she said. "Where are they?" the judge asked. Danielle's lips tightened. "Safe," she said. The judge's expression didn't move. "Safe for who?" she asked. A murmur moved through the benches, and then Rachel delivered the part that turned the hearing from argument to emergency. "Your Honor," she said, "there is also a pending transfer scheduled for 6 a.m. this morning that the bank indicated may have been placed on temporary hold. We have reason to believe Ms. Hartman is continuing to move funds. We need a freeze today." Judge Navarro's gaze sharpened. "Ms. Hartman," she said, "stop moving money, right now." Danielle blinked. "I'm not," she started. "Stop," the judge said, not loud, final. Then she turned to the clerk. "I am issuing an emergency temporary restraining order," she said. "Freeze all accounts in Ms. Hartman's name. Freeze any accounts identified as recipients of these transfers pending further order. Riverstone Bank is to be served immediately. Additionally, Ms. Hartman is ordered to appear in 48 hours with documentation showing the location of all funds removed from the joint account. Danielle's attorney stood. "Your Honor, that's overly broad." Judge Navarro's eyes lifted. "Counsel," she said, "do you want me to be broad or do you want me to be effective?" He sat. The judge's tone dropped lower. "And I want to be very clear," she continued. "If these funds are not restored, I will issue an order to show cause for contempt. I do not enjoy doing that, but I will do it." Danielle's face finally changed. Not fear, calculation. The judge looked at her a moment longer. "This is not a game," she said. "This is a court order, and if you think you can treat it like a suggestion, you will find out what jail feels like." Alex's hands trembled, not from triumph, from the sudden realization that the law, real law, had finally entered the room. Rachel served Riverstone before the lunch hour was over. A process server walked into the downtown branch with stamped orders and a calm face. The branch manager's eyes widened as he read. He made calls, he typed notes, he placed holds, and like that, Danielle's ability to keep moving money stopped being a choice. Alex didn't feel relief. He felt a new anxiety, because a freeze order doesn't bring money back, it just stops the bleeding. Rachel explained it on the courthouse steps. "Now we trace," she said, "and we pressure." "How?" Alex asked. Rachel's eyes narrowed. "By making her account for every dollar," she said, "and by making her understand the court is watching." That night, Danielle tried to withdraw cash. At an ATM, denied. She tried a different one, denied. She tried calling her cousin. He didn't answer. She called her attorney. Paul Merrick's voice came through tight. "Danielle," he said, "you're in serious trouble." Danielle's voice sharpened. "I'm protecting myself," she said. "You're risking contempt," Paul replied. "And contempt in family court isn't abstract. Judges can, and do, jail people." Danielle went quiet. "Where is the money?" Paul asked. Danielle hesitated. "Different places," she said. "Tell me," Paul insisted. Danielle exhaled. "There's a cashier's check," she said. "There are wires. Some went to Jonah. Some went to an escrow account." Paul's voice went sharp. "Escrow for what?" Danielle paused. "A condo," she admitted. "A condo. Not rent, not groceries, a down payment." Paul went silent for a second. "Danielle," he said, "if you used marital funds to place a down payment while under restraining orders, and the court is going to lose patience with you." Danielle's voice cracked just a fraction. "I needed somewhere safe," she whispered. Paul didn't soften. "Then you should have filed a motion," he said. 2 days later, Danielle returned to court. This time, her calm looked thinner. She brought a folder, she brought partial documentation, and she brought an expression that said she'd discovered the word freeze is not theoretical. Judge Navarro didn't waste time. "Ms. Hartman," she said, "you were ordered to disclose where the funds went. Do you have that?" Danielle's attorney stood. "Yes, Your Honor," he said. "We have documentation showing the funds are secure and recoverable." There was no intent to conceal. Judge Navarro's eyes lifted. "Counsel," she said, "intent is demonstrated by actions. Let's focus on actions." Rachel approached the lectern. "Your Honor," she said, "we subpoenaed the wire details. We have confirmations." She held up a packet. Judge Navarro nodded. "Proceed," she said. Rachel read the transfers. Dates, amounts, recipients. One was to Jonah Voss Consulting LLC. One was to an escrow account labeled North Harbor Title. 2 were cashier's checks purchased in person at a branch across town. And then Rachel revealed the twist. "The escrow account," she said, "was used for a real estate deposit for a unit titled not to Ms. Hartman, but to Marla Voss, Danielle's aunt, a relative, a nominee." Danielle's head snapped up. "That's not," she started. Judge Navarro raised a hand. "Stop," she said. The judge's voice was quiet now, which was worse. "Ms. Hartman," she said, "you did not merely move funds. You attempted to convert marital funds into an asset held in a relative's name while under restraining orders." Danielle's attorney's shoulders tensed. "Your Honor, the property was intended for housing." "Do not insult this court's intelligence," Judge Navarro said. The room went so still you could hear someone swallow. Judge Navarro looked directly at Danielle. "Return the funds," she said. "All of them, immediately. If funds are tied up in escrow, you will instruct escrow to reverse." Danielle's voice trembled. "I can't just," she began. "Yes, you can," the judge said. "Or you can explain to the sheriff why you're not complying." A pause. "This is your warning," Judge Navarro continued. "I am issuing an order to show cause for contempt. If you do not restore funds within 72 hours, I will consider custody implications, sanctions, and incarceration." There it was, not a threat, a line. Danielle's attorney turned slightly toward her, whispering. Danielle's face tightened, then shifted into something that looked like surrender. "Okay," she said quietly. "Okay." Alex didn't feel victory. He felt the ache of what this had become. 2 parents, a child, and money moving like a weapon. The next 72 hours were a scramble. Rachel worked phones, Riverstone worked compliance, escrow worked reversal protocols. Danielle's cousin Jonah, suddenly very nervous, produced records showing he'd received the wire and had not yet transferred it onward. He returned most of it. Most. There was still a gap. $18,500. A small number compared to the whole. But in court, small numbers can be the sharpest ones because they suggest something tried to disappear. Rachel asked Danielle about it. Danielle claimed it was spent. Spent on what? Emergency child care, car repairs, a security deposit, all the ordinary excuses. Rachel didn't argue. She asked for receipts. In family court, receipts are the difference between spent and stolen. Danielle produced some, not all. Judge Navarro didn't miss that. At the contempt review, she said it plainly. "Ms. Hartman," she said, "your partial compliance saved you from immediate custody today, but you are still on the edge of contempt. This court does not tolerate games." Danielle nodded, eyes down. Judge Navarro turned to Alex. "Mr. Hartman," she said, "your emergency motion was appropriate. Ma, I want you to understand something. You did the right thing by coming to court. That is how this process is supposed to work." Alex swallowed, because for the first time in weeks, someone in authority had validated reality. The divorce didn't end that day, but the power shifted, because once a judge sees dissipation, every future claim gets weighed differently. Danielle's credibility took a hit, hard, not because she was emotional, because she was strategic, and strategy that violates court orders is not protecting yourself. It's contempt. In later hearings, Judge Navarro ordered Danielle to pay Alex's attorney's fees for the emergency motion. She ordered stricter financial controls. She required both parties to use a monitored account for child-related expenses. She ordered regular disclosures. And she set consequences in writing. Not because she enjoyed it, because she understood something simple. Money moves faster than justice, so justice has to build brakes. Months later, on a quiet afternoon, after a status conference, Alex walked out of the courthouse and sat in his car without starting it. He stared at the steering wheel for a long time. The crisis was contained. The mortgage got paid. The daycare didn't bounce. His employees got their checks. But his nervous system hadn't caught up. He still flinched when his phone buzzed. He still checked balances like a reflex. He still woke in the night, heart hammering, convinced he'd see zero again. Rachel called him from her car. "You okay?" she asked. Alex let out a breath. I don't know, he admitted. I feel stupid. Yeah, like I should have seen it coming. Rachel's voice stayed firm. Don't do that, she said. You're not stupid. You were trusting, and the system allowed access because it assumes people won't weaponize it. Alex swallowed. What do people do when they're scared? He asked. Rachel paused. They do what they think is survival, she said, but survival doesn't excuse violation. There was a beat, then Rachel added, if you ever wonder why judges threaten jail in family court, it's because some people only understand consequences when they're personal. Danielle didn't go to jail, not in this composite story, because she returned enough, fast enough, to step back from the edge. But she did lose something. The ability to claim she was the more responsible party with money. The ability to paint Alex as the sole source of instability. And that mattered, because custody isn't just about who loves the child. It's about who respects the structure that keeps the child safe. A parent who empties joint accounts overnight is not just moving money. They're moving stability. And stability is what courts guard like a fragile thing. So when Judge Navarro issued her final temporary orders that quarter, she included a line that echoed back to that first emergency hearing. Neither party is permitted to dissipate assets, she wrote. Any attempt will be met with immediate injunctive relief and sanctions. Immediate, because she'd seen what happens when the court moves slowly and the money moves fast. If you're listening to this and thinking, I'd never do that, good. But ask yourself a harder question. If you woke up and your joint account was zero, your bills, your child's stability, your livelihood, what would you do first? Would you panic and retaliate? Or would you do the unglamorous thing Alex did, document, file, and force the truth into the record? Because that's the difference between chaos and accountability. And it's the part people miss when they treat divorce like drama. Divorce is not drama. Divorce is logistics with emotions. And the moment money becomes a weapon, the only shield is evidence, timestamps, wire confirmations, the boring, brutal trail that turns I didn't into you did. Judge Navarro's emergency freeze wasn't a punishment. It was an emergency brake, a way to stop a moving vehicle before it hit the wall. And the jail warning wasn't theatrics. It was the judge telling every person tempted to do what Danielle did. You don't get to turn court orders into suggestions just because you're scared. You don't get to rewrite marital property law at 3 a.m. And you don't get to gamble with stability without risking your freedom. Because when the court finally steps in, it doesn't care how calm you look when you deny it. It cares where the money went, and whether you thought you could outrun the record. Most people can't. Not forever. Not when the paper trail is this loud. And that's why this story ends where it began. A judge, a stack of bank pages, a quiet courtroom, and a sentence that lands like a lock clicking shut. This court is freezing everything. Restore it, or explain it from a cell.
Thanks for watching our coverage. If you gained valuable insights from this case, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Justice Insight Cam. Remain observant, stay safe out there, and catch our next investigation.